Today in the Victorian Opposition party room, rather than fight Daniel Andrews, the Liberals were yet again fighting each other. And this time, apparently, I was the cause of the blue. Now, it all stemmed from the botched attempt by Liberal Leader John Pesutto to expel Moira Deeming from his parliamentary team over her presence at a rally 6 weeks ago to support women's rights. When Pesutto tried to throw Deeming out, 10 of her colleagues spoke in her defence, arguing that her views in support of the right of women and girls to single-sex spaces and terms like breastfeeding, not chest feeding, were views that they shared, that Liberal members and supporters shared, and not something that should see her expelled. But as you heard from Moira herself in my recent exclusive interview, it was her admission of being raped as a child, motivating her determination to advocate on these issues, that turned those in the room in her favour. That and the fact, having been raised in part by an uncle who was a Holocaust survivor, any talk that she supported neo-Nazi views in any way was deeply offensive. Moira's speech killed off any chance Pesutto had of kicking her out, and instead he promptly withdrew his motion that Deeming should be expelled for bringing the party into disrepute. And then 3 things were agreed. 1, that there would be a joint statement from Pesutto and Deeming, clearing her in relation to any imputation that she was a neo-Nazi supporter or had brought the Liberal Party into disrepute. 2, that she serve a 9-month suspension, more to save Pesutto's leadership face than anything else, given he'd put his leadership on the line for an expulsion motion that failed. And 3, that at the end of this suspension, she'd be allowed back into the Liberal party room automatically. Now, seems all pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Only this is, remember, the Victorian Liberals who have made basically stuffing up an art form. So fast forward to today. 6 weeks on from this party room meeting, there are still no final and agreed minutes of what was decided. Still no joint statement from Pesutto and Deeming clearing her name, and there's no confirmation of Deeming's political return, despite the oral commitment from Pesutto on this very point 6 weeks ago to his colleagues in the room. In short, the only one who's living up to what was agreed is Deeming. She's now 6 weeks into her 9-month suspension, while everything from Pesutto, well, it smacks of backtracking and trying to bully others into rewriting what happened in the room. So where do I fit into this blue today? Well, here's what happened. The official secretary to the Liberal Party room is an MP called Renee Heath. Now, you'll probably remember her name. She was the candidate that Matthew Guy said he would ban from the Liberal Party room if she won because her father belongs to a conservative church. Now, she won, Guy didn't, so she's not only in the party room, she now takes the official minutes. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, can you? Today in the room, as multiple MPs have recounted to me, Heath was verbally attacked by Pesutto. She labels it bullying, and she was accused of leaking the Deeming meeting minutes to me. Now, I can say to you straight out right now, Renee Heath did not give me any information about the minutes. That allegation today from Pesutto is completely false. To say she was shaken up by the events this morning, well, that's an understatement. Here is a copy of the email she was forced to write to her Liberal colleagues immediately after this meeting. And no, John Pesutto, before you accuse her yet again, I did not get this email from Renee Heath. Now, in the email she says, I once again feel completely stitched up and misrepresented by the leadership with no ability to defend myself. I wasn't even given the space to correct the mistruths about me in today's meeting. I'm upset, she says, very upset. The way I've been treated and the way other Conservative women in this party are treated is nothing short of bullying. Why can't we respect each other, says Renee Heath. Why can't you have an idea or a difference of opinion without having eyes rolled and nasty and personal interjections? Heath makes it clear in this bombshell email today. She says, I want to provide the truth of what happened in regards to the conversation with John Pesutto and his staff member. The call was regarding the article Peta Credlin wrote in which she said someone had read her the official minutes. I had only sent them to John's office, said Renee Heath, and I have never had a conversation with Peta. And that's right, my information about what these minutes had written in them did not come from Renee Heath. Suffice to say, I've been around the Liberal Party my entire adult life, and I know how to ask the right questions of the right people and check the facts. For the entire time the Liberal Party was in opposition in Canberra, I was the Secretary to Shadow Cabinet. So this is not my first rodeo. Now, part of the problem is this admission from Heath herself in today's email. Dear colleagues, she writes, I'm very sorry if I've caused offence to anyone by providing detailed minutes. I honestly thought this is what was required of me as a secretary. Are you kidding me? Renee Heath has been reduced to tears over detailed minutes. But she goes on. Like I mentioned in the meeting today, after the first party room meeting, I was told that my minutes weren't detailed enough. Then I was told they were too detailed. All in all, as Heath says today in that email, there have been 3 different versions of the minutes from the meeting that tried to expel Moira Deeming but failed. 3 different versions of the minutes. So where is this all now? Well, there are still no official meeting minutes. Deeming is the only one abiding by what was agreed. She remains suspended, but there's no letter from Pesutto to clear her name and no confirmation of her way back into the party room when that suspension is over. Now, after the carry-on today and the attacks on Renee Heath, a council of war has been called to settle the official version of events. This little group will involve John Pesutto, the Deputy Liberal Leader David Southwick, Renee Heath, and a veteran MP, Kim Wells, who's been acting as a bit of a go-between and mentor to Deeming. They will meet, I am told, and try and agree a version of the minutes over the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Now, you want to know why they're in opposition? This is it. Attacking each other and not their opponents. Unable to make a call on the simple matter of what was agreed in a room full of colleagues and then make it stick. To even have tried to expel a Liberal woman for defending the rights of women and girls itself is madness. It all comes down to the leader. Whether leaders are prepared to admit where they got it wrong or allow their ego to get in the way of doing what's in the Liberal Party's best interest and not self-interest. The fact that John Pesutto can't resolve this, can't decide minutes after 6 weeks, is going to run out there for another 2 weeks trying to backtrack, and it's still spinning like a top, says 2 things. One, Labor, Daniel Andrews, is safer now than they've ever been, despite the latest IBAC scandal, despite Victoria's record debt, and the fact that a Minister, Danny Pearson, should be on the ropes. And 2, John Pesutto will not be the Liberal leader at the next election. I might add, I have contacted John Pesutto's office earlier today. There has been no response to my email, putting those allegations to him and asking for an official response.